All right, so today I want to give you a demonstration on how you would make your big fish, is what I've called it in Google Classroom. So first I did my research on my fish, and I looked at lots of different fish, and I posted some in my Google document, and then I've determined that this is the fish that I want to make. So I'm going to have this fish open next to me while I'm working so that I can continue to reference back. So first I need to draw my fish. So I got a piece of paper and I drew my fish pretty much the whole size of my paper, because remember, this is big fish, not little fish. So I have drawn it to the whole size of my paper. Now from here, I'm going to make some templates, and I'm going to cut out parts of this fish so that I can use it on clay. So the first template I'm going to make is just the body. So I don't have any of the fins, I don't have the tail, I don't have just the body. So that's the first template. And then the next templates I'm going to make are all the fins. Okay. So then I'm going to grab some scissors and I'm going to cut those out. So I have my body, my tail, my top fin, and my side fins. I guess the bottom fin and the side fins. So I have all of my templates cut, and so now I can put them on top of my clay slab. So now I've rolled out my clay slab, and I've used my templates and I put them on top of my slab to trace around. And then kind of playing around with the idea of maybe some fish scales. So I took this wood blending stick and I kind of pressed the end in to maybe make some scales. We'll see how it works in the end, if we like it or not. I also used my other templates to cut out all of my other pieces. So I have my tail and the top fin and my side fins and the bottom fin. Now when I look at these, like, that is really thick for a fin. So after I attach them, I'll probably go in and do some pinching and adjusting, because that's too much for a fin. So I need to put my fish together, and I have two slabs, a front and a back, and I'm not looking for something like this. We want it to have some body. So I'm going to turn it around this way, and anytime that we add two pieces of clay together, we want to make sure that we slip and score. So I'm going to score around all of the edges. And I'm going to add slip. So that my body of my fish doesn't get too flat, I've taken a piece of newspaper and I've kind of crumpled it up into a ball, and I'm going to place that in between my two slabs. Now this might be a good chance to find a friend in class to help you put this together. Make sure I have, right part to right part. And then I want to pinch my two edges together. So now I have a fish that has a little bit of body. It's not totally flat. And I'm going to spend some time really making this edge look nice and connected, because I don't want to see my seam. So if it looks like That's not good. We want to make sure that we get that all smoothed out. And also at the same time, not pushing too hard that we flatten it all out again. So I'm going to work on that for a minute. Now I've pinched together both halves of my fish and I've blended that seam so that you can't see it. Now I'm going to start adding my fins. So I'm going to look at my reference image again and my sketch to make sure that I'm putting the fins on the right way. So I have this fin and I can tell that it needs to go on the top about, let's see, about right here. So I'm going to need to, again, slip and score and make sure that I attach that appropriately. So make a mark where I want to slip and score. Put my slip on there. Kind of wiggle it into place so that all of those score marks match up. And then again, spending some time making sure that I blend it all together because these are the parts that are easy to fall off. All of these added parts. We've got to spend extra time putting that all together. I haven't added any texture to my fins yet, so I will do that at some point. Not yet though. And I'm also going to want to pinch that fin out on the top so that it doesn't look so thick. Maybe I will pinch it out right now. Remember, the firmer your clay gets, like the easier it is to put stuff together, but also the harder it is to then start manipulating it. So it's kind of like trying to find that fine line between too dry and too wet. Okay, so here I have a top fin on. Now I'm going to add my tail, and through the course of working on this tail, it doesn't fit anymore, right? See how it's not so good? So I'm going to need to do a little bit of adjustment on the tail to make it come back so that it fits a little better. Okay, so I think that this is a better fit. So we're gonna slip and score that on as well. And then I'm going to smooth this in. I've noticed that my tail is not fitting quite like I want it to. See how I still have some gaps up here. So I'm going to take a little extra fresh clay and I'm going to start to work that into those gaps. Now, remember this fish is also what we would call in the round. So I want to be able to see both sides of the fish. So whatever we do to one side, you need to then flip your fish over and look at the other side to make sure that we are addressing the fins on both sides so that it looks good on both sides. So I'm going to keep working on that fin, that tail and top fin. Okay, so I realized that maybe my angle from before was not so good. So I've changed locations. I've attached my top fin and my tail, and then I've also kind of done some padding on the bottom because I want him to stand up on his own, right? I don't want him to be, I don't want to have any extra supports. It should like be freestanding. And it doesn't really want to freestand yet because on this side I've added this fin here. But I want these fins to also kind of act as a support. So when I do the one on the other side, like it's going to stand up on its own. So when I get ready to put these on, I was noticing that it's not going to go on very well if I don't bevel the edge. So let me make sure I bevel the right edge. So when I talk about beveling the edge, that's where I want to kind of cut some of this, like the corner off from the slab, so that it has like a flatter piece right here that I can slip and score to attach. So now here's my needle tool so I can score. And then pick up this fish and score so that it matches the other fin here. Add my slip. And kind of start to push it on there. Now, because I also want to use these as a bit of a support, I'm going to have to, once I attach it on kind of an initial attach, then I'm going to want to set it down. Oh, look, he stands up. That's so good. Okay, so then I'm going to come in here and make that attachment look nicer on the outside. And then I'm also going to want to address it underneath in here. And again, it looks like a little bit of fresh clay would be helpful in there. So I'm just going to roll a little coil, put it into that seam, and blend it in. Okay, so then when he stands up, I'm going to kind of pinch those so that they look a little bit thinner. While the clay is still a little bit soft. All right, so now I have this bottom fin on there. That one's going to need a little work. Now I still have 4 more fins. And so there's another fin that goes, I think it's this one, that goes down here like that. And then there's one more, it kind of comes on the side. And so I'm going to add those on as well. And then once I get those added on, I will be back to show you my progress. Okay, so now I've added my side fins on both sides. So if I turn this little guy around, you can see that I have both of my fins. I'm using this back fin and then this little one here almost as like little legs, right? So that kind of helps support him as he stands up. Now when I look at him on this direction, he's got a little kind of some attitude, doesn't he? He's not super straight. Maybe that's okay. I can at this point, if I wanted to, kind of give a little paddle on that front seam to kind of work a little on that profile that we want. And then I still need to add his mouth, which is where we'll put in the hole so that nothing blows up on accident, and his eyes. And then any textures that I want to add onto the fins, like the, those little lines that they would have on their fins, I'd add that. And then go in and do any final smoothing to make sure that all of the seams look really good. Now, one of the things with slab work that we have to be more aware of than on coil work is that slabs need to dry so slow and carefully. So it is not, slabs don't like to be built and then that day left uncovered thinking that it's going to get fired the next day. When that happens, it all just falls apart and looks like crap. So instead, once I'm finished with this, I'm still going to cover it up and then check on it daily for a few days until I feel like it starts to get a little bit more firm, where then I can leave it uncovered before I put it on the shelf to be fired. So I'm going to continue to do some more work on here. Once I get it to more of a finish point, I'll show you that finish point. But otherwise, this is kind of like your basics of building a fish. So I feel like I'm at a pretty good point now to kind of just stop messing with this. That I've added all of the pieces I want to add, and I've added the eyes and all of the fins. I've put in the mouth. And so I feel like it's at a point where I want to let it rest so that I don't mess it up anymore right now. That I'm going to cover it with some plastic and then come back at another point to put in like some more of the final details in terms of texture that I want to add on here, if I want to add any more to the gills, and kind of give it a moment of pause and reflection. So hopefully this explains how I'm hoping that we make a fish. Thank you.